All right.
All right.
So
Yeah, I'll tell Mary Ann to call Nicole.
yeah, the 17-foot booths, they're on Main Street. And the curbside booths on State Street, you have to go back up on the curb 2 feet,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But I think the 10 by 17, you don't have to do that.
No,
It's the
no,
yeah.
no.
Okay.
The 10 by 20 is the one that you have to go over the curve a little bit. And that's what I have.
It's like Madison.
Yeah, at that particular street, at Main Street. Right.
Yeah, plus if you're down at the south end of Main Street, there's a parking lot right behind the building behind you.
Yeah, and that's the one that most people use.
Yeah.
And I think that this year they're using that for like a prepaid parking also.
Yeah, I used to park the day before and then dolly my stuff in.
This is what I was trying to show you, Larry. So will you put the print bin in the front or put it or take it out there?
Oh, it's okay there. You're only blocking your centerpiece.
Yeah, because I'm looking for it. I need to put one more piece, and I'm trying to figure out if I should put that in the back and just put another big piece in there under.
What what if you move that U-shaped configuration over to one side a little bit?
It's like makes a holy mess. It looks really weird.
Yeah, but then you could see the pieces on the back wall better, at least
You
on
can
one
see,
side.
you can see it. It's this 6 feet between them, wall
Okay.
to wall.
Oh,
It's
that's a
two.
double, right.
Yeah. So it's two pro panels in between each space. And I'm trying to figure out what two images to use. My cats are needy today. You would think that I abandon them all the time.
Well, you do.
Yeah.
You guys are not helping, just to let you know. Hey, hey, I can send them to work and me staying at home. I would do that in the blink of an eye.
Hey, Janine, how you doing?
Well, thanks, Larry. Um, I had kind of a really busy day today, and it started raining when I was trying to get some pictures in the car, in the van, and I fell. Um, and when they ask you at the hospital, have you had more than two falls in 1 year? I've had six. Okay. So it's not good. I understand it's not good, but like I'm really unstable on my feet these days, and uh
So am I,
so
but I haven't fallen yet.
yeah, well, you're lucky. um
Well, I started walking with a cane when I take the dog to the park for a walk.
oh, that's smart. That's smart.
It I can walk a lot better with the cane than without it.
Yeah, I got walking sticks. I got walking sticks, but still, when you're trying to do stuff,
I know.
you need your hands too. So it's a little bit of a problem. But I'm nervous about this weekend coming up. I have to admit, I'm a little nervous because I've never been there before. I've
Which
never been
show?
to this show. Yeah.
What
And
show?
oh, I'm sorry, Art Birmingham.
Oh, okay.
So there's 135 artists, and from what I've heard, like here and everything, that it's a nice show and good clientele, and I'm getting new work in my booth that I haven't had in there for a while. And so like I just like today put a piece in there that I sold once before that's pretty much 4 feet by 5 feet, and it just fits in the van, like just fits. So it's a little challenging, a little nerve-wracking. Um, but we pack it well, we know what we're doing in terms of packing it. It's just, everybody has these things when you're doing a show, all these things come up, and it's sometimes it's nerve-wracking.
Yeah. Hey,
But
I started.
I'm looking forward to it. And the good thing is for me is that they don't close the streets until 5 o'clock. So that'll give us some extra time to get up there and drop off stuff at the hotel and then be on site ready to go. Our load-in time is 6 o'clock. And I don't think it's supposed to rain on Friday night, and Saturday it may rain on Sunday from what I see as of right now. Um, but
Keep changing.
it keeps changing, right? It keeps changing. But it stays later. It stays light later. Um, so even if we don't get everything up and ready to go by say 8:30 Friday night, we can do some more in the morning. Um, uh,
It's going to be cold, by the way.
yeah, I know that. I know that. I know that. So dress appropriately. Yeah, I know that. Good point.
Uh,
Oscar, you've done it a number of times, right?
yeah, this is going to be my third time.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I was never able to get in.
Mm.
What show is this?
Art Birmingham in Michigan.
Gotcha.
It's a guild show.
Well,
Okay.
now it's a guild show.
Yeah.
I want to recommend it for you guys, Roy, because it's a high risk show if you're traveling that far away.
Sure.
There's some people that come from Georgia that does it really well all the time, but um, they usually sell one or two big pieces and that's it at the show. So, but it's
So
a high risk show.
high risk show.
Yeah.
No, I guess it would be okay to do it if there was a couple of others to do up that way.
Yeah, I think that it's good for Janine and me because we're nearby and it's not that much big deal. But if you are outside of the region, it can get expensive really fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
I cannot tell
Yeah.
you that you're going to make enough money to justify the trip.
Sure.
So
I'm
how many
really trying to keep hotel expenses down. I'm really trying to look for the cheapest hotel I can find.
But be careful because the hotels, I did that for when I was in Fort Bridges. I took a Ramada in, and the bed was like a sleeping in plywood.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like firm beds.
No, that
Uh,
was
the
too.
the worst situation with a hotel I ever had was uh Okay, I think it was the Crosby show at the Toledo Botanical Garden, and I was new to the show, and there's a bunch of hotels about the same rate, value, quality, what have you. And I chose a Ramada Inn, not having stayed in one before. I just picked this Ramada Inn because it was the cheapest. Well, I go in there and it's filthy. I mean, uh, like visibly dirty. And I go to put some food in the microwave that's there, and there's a box of half-eaten pizza in the box in the microwave. There's like a bird's nest right and at the top of the doorway as you come in. It was incredibly awful. And it was just so disgusting that I couldn't take it, that I took the pizza box, I flung it out the door into the yard, and I left. I just walked away. I mean, because there are some things that like you reach a limit and it's intolerable.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was super cheap, and I was like, it lives up to its reputation.
Yeah. My wife always had a rule. Never stay at a motel with a number in its name.
Oh yeah. Oh, like Super 8 or whatever that is.
Right,
Yeah.
or Motel 6.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Motel 6 is not that bad, actually.
It depends on where you are.
Yeah.
Not $6 anymore either.
I don't think it
Yeah.
ever was.
My family actually lived in a Motel 6 for a couple weeks when we moved from New York to Ohio, because the farm that my parents bought was owned by this old couple, and they were hoarders, and they refused to move their stuff out of the house. And so when we got there, there was only one room that was cleared out, and it was this big old farmhouse. And so we had to go live in this motel, and we lived in this Motel 6, just whatever. And we loved it as kids. We were running down the hallway using the ice machine, everything like that. But my mother was freaking out. She's, you have to get out of here. Anyway, so I understand and I agree with you. Motel 6, Super 8, whatever.
I mean, when I was traveling by myself, I would sleep in the truck, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's good to have your own conditions under control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
By the
was going
way,
to.
Janine, there's somebody's website I want you to take a look at. She's a
Okay.
travel photographer.
Oh, okay.
Her
Hold
name
on
is
a second.
Nancy Ney,
Okay, hold on.
NEY.com.
Hold on. Nancy Ney.
Yes.
Okay.
She used to own
Travel photographer.
a studio in Manhattan, and she was so successful, she bought the building.
Holy cow.
And when she sold the building, she made a ton.
What year was that, Larry?
I don't know. And now she
Okay.
travels.
Wow. What was her photography before she did travel
Well, it was
photography?
studio work,
Oh,
commercial
okay.
work.
Okay. Wow. That's cool. I tell you, I have to, when was it? Not the last show I did, but I think it may have been two shows. No, it was at my exhibition. I'm in an exhibition right now, a solo exhibition at my gallery. And I had this woman come in who is a photographer, and she came up to me to talk to me. And she was a commercial photographer. And she was just like, I envy you so much that you can do fine art photography, that you can, you know, do your best to make a living from it. And I'm like, it's really hard, blah, 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 blah. And you know it. And she's like, I know, but I really wish that I could do this, if I had my druthers. And so it is, with photography, there's so many different kinds of it. And um,
I mean,
yeah,
people that can make a living doing photography are really fortunate.
Yeah, and even like I studied um 3 times I took workshops with Michael Fry from Yosemite. So I really respect him. He's been doing it. I mean, he's been doing it for a really long time, and he has to do so many things just to cumulatively put together. Uh,
Multiple streams of income.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like ebooks and workshops and webinars and everything.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult.
Hmm.
But you know who does that all the time? The key people he sent is Chris Dusk. I kind
Oh,
of
Dalquist.
Chris Dahlquist.
yeah.
Yeah, I like her work a lot. I like her work. It was Court who put me on to her. Court shared a link to her work on Facebook, and I checked it out. And I really like it. I mean, it's simple, and she almost always does the same landscape. It's almost, I don't mean to say anything wrong about that, but it's almost the same landscape, And it's always different. It's always different. It's always unique. And I really love it. I really love her work, but she's traveling around a lot. And you say, Oscar, she does multiple streams of income too?
Yeah, she's the reason that I do something similar to her. I don't depend just on the art shows. I got multiple source of incomes because everything
Yeah.
is so stable. And even
Yeah.
with that, there's no guarantee.
Right.
I was talking to that to a client yesterday about it, and there's uh she was saying it would be nice to be self-employed. I said like the problem that you don't know uh when things going to dry it out because they do dry it out and then pick up again, but it's really hard to prepare and this out. But some people said that you got an idea how much money you're going to make every month, but the problem is you don't know how long the dry spell is going to be, and then inflation could be totally high one year compared to the other ones. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I just did a show this past weekend, just a totally little local show. And I made some money, but not a ton. And like you were saying, Oscar, I sold like 9 little pieces, like really small that I wanted to get rid of. Um,
mhm.
so that doesn't add up to a lot, but it helps you get rid of inventory so you don't have to schlep it around. But you're not guaranteed anything. There's no guarantee for anything. But I'm glad that you have your installation work, which seems to help a lot
It does
for.
help a lot, to be honest with you, but it's sometimes I wish I don't have to do that, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know
But it
whose
is what it
work?
is.
You know whose work I really like? Paul Grecian.
I don't know him. Photographer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Very, very simplistic. Great vision. Reminds me a lot of Gary Pietro, who passed away about 5 years ago now.
Mm.
What Gary used to do.
Um, Go look at his website. I think I still left it up.
Okay.
GarySanPietro.com. At some point, I'm going to have to take it down. People keep emailing me, asking me if they could buy prints, and I don't have the full-size files. His brother never gave me his slides to scan.
That's sad.
Hey, is your stuff up on auction yet?
Next month.
Oscar, I texted Mary Ann,
Uh,
so hopefully she'll call.
Hey, I got a question if there's an opening here.
Sure.
I did the Artscape in Dallas and I put up a not so good review on Facebook on the Art Fair Art Show reviews page. I don't know if you guys saw it,
The one with the
but yeah, it was so frustrating because that's a show where one of the painters that responded to my review, no kidding, like 6 years ago, did 50,000 there, and he came up empty-handed this time. And
well,
I did,
that's, which is the anomaly?
well, here's the problem. They, I did this show, and on the second and third day of the show, um, what the artists rely on at this show, it's in the Arboretum in Dallas, and the Arboretum has almost 100,000 members. And those 100,000 members usually get 2 to 3 emails announcing the show and the weekend of the show. Well, this year, they had a new organizer that got put into this position, I guess, months before the show. She didn't send out the emails to us. And one of the volunteers said she didn't even have a volunteer sign up sheet for all the many jobs to get us in and out of there till a week before the show. But she didn't send anything out to the patrons. And the patrons that did happen to be on the grounds saw the tents and they came over, and I had at least 3 patrons tell me they never got an email. They never knew we were there.
Okay.
But when I talked to one of the other volunteers who was schlepping us around, because they won't let you bring your vehicle in. So they have those mules on golf carts, those flatbeds on golf carts that help you get in and out. He was saying they had 3 weddings there the same weekend, and they had a transitioning art show, that was there temporarily on the grounds. So he thinks that they basically spent their time advertising that and getting the venue ready for these weddings, but not, the artists were pretty much ignored. And I was frustrated because we had to pay 450 plus the jury fee of 45. So you're into $500 just to get in the door. And then on top of that, you have to load everything onto a mule. They take it into a spot. You have to, unload it, and same thing getting out. Some of the artists didn't even get out of there. Show closed at 5 and they were still there after 10 p.m., finally getting their turn on one of these mule drivers. So they were understaffed, and I just think I talked on Saturday, I had 0 sales. I had 2 Friday and 2 Sunday that helped me make it. But on Saturday, I had 0 sales. So I asked the person next to me, the one behind me, the one on the other side of me, the one across from me. They all had 0 sales on Saturday. So it wasn't just an anomaly. I went up and down the row. There were 2 others on the far end of the row had 0 sales. And anybody that had a sale was like 1, So it wasn't an anomaly. It was poor advertising. So I wrote that up, and now I'm feeling guilty because if another person takes over next year, all these artists are going to drop. But I still don't feel too bad because I'm like, they need to let us know ahead of time if if they're not going to advertise like they have in the past, or even let the members know, because it is $23 to get in per person and $16 to park. So you're into almost $70 to get on the grounds. And so it's usually the members that come. It's usually the members. And the members are well-heeled people from the inner Dallas sector in gorgeous homes. So the members usually spend if they come. But if they don't tell the members, what other recourse do we have? Like, you can't ask for the show feedback.
well,
Sure you can. Doesn't mean you're going to get it. Your problem is you're feeling guilty because you complained. The truth is you didn't complain loudly enough. And
Okay.
here's the real question, because this is other shows are doing the same thing that pisses me off. It's why I don't. If I didn't never did another show in my life, I'd be okay. Why do shows hire directors that don't know what they're doing? We're professionals. We spend a lot of money and we take all the risk. They should not, that's the real question, and every artist should be asking that. And I did a couple of shows this year that absolutely they had no idea what they were doing. In fact, another show director, and I'm not going to name any names because I'll get myself in trouble. Because even though I don't care if I get myself in trouble, this director says, I was complaining about the show from the week before, and she said, "Yeah, and I even tried to help them out." Why? Why should a show director go to another director of a show and help them out? Shouldn't the initial director know what they're doing? Shouldn't they hire somebody who knows what they're doing?
Yeah, and they said this was a volunteer director, like a
So wait
volunteer
a minute, we're
director. So they're not even
professionals.
getting paid. I
It's
know.
ridiculous. I don't care if they get $1 million for doing the show or nothing. It doesn't matter. We are
Right.
the ones that are spending all the money and spending our time and have to live on it, and it's pathetic.
So from that
Dude,
standpoint,
I wasn't going to
is
say
there
it.
another, no, seriously, is there another place that I should put information? Because I really do feel like artists should be aware that it's always a volunteer and it could be a new volunteer randomly picked to direct this show. And it's called Artscape and it's been going for 23 years. So most people reading this would assume that they have their act together, but they
Write them a
definitely
nasty
didn't.
letter.
To the Arboretum?
Whatever, whoever you
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
Make
then
it
they'll
public.
hang it up on the wall.
Yeah.
I
Don't
think
hang
I
your picture on the wall and throw darts at it. So
They
what? It's happened to me all the time.
I think
they
that
did
might.
that.
I
Long's
think
Park used to they would offer to send out your artist postcards to your clients. One year they sent them out so late people didn't get them till after the show was over.
Oh, wow.
And Gary Sampietro wrote them a letter and they framed it and hung it on the wall.
Well, Deb, I think that's not such a bad idea because I I still have this to this day. The emailed Art Fair Insiders website that was run by Larry, you'll help me.
Connie?
Uh, Connie, that was run by Connie. I got on there and I think it was 2012 and there was a post by I have their name. It's not in my memory right now, but it was a post about the people who do art fairs and what goes into it, the challenges that go into it, the effort that goes into it, the sacrifices you make, but why it's important to do them for the art that you make and the beauty that you spread to the public. I mean, it was so well written. It was really great. And I printed it off and I saved it.
Who
And
wrote it?
I can't think of it off the top of my head. I can get it to you. It's downstairs. I
No,
actually,
no, don't go get it. But
no,
was it
not right
mailed?
this
Yeah,
minute. Not
right.
right this minute.
We
But
know all those people, don't we,
no,
Larry?
yeah. But
Right.
anyway, I put packing tape, clear packing tape around it, and I still have it. And I take it out often when I'm going to do a show just to get my spirits lifted. And one of the things they said was never be negative at a show. Always be positive. Don't complain. Never complain because that's a sticky vibe, and you don't want to spread that because it'll
You know
reflect
what
back.
was weird though? And I don't want to interrupt, but I never once complained during the show. And I was super happy and knowledgeable to anybody who did actually find the booths and walk through. I had one vase that was over $500 that I sold that I never thought I'd sell. And this lady was enamored with it. So I did have some good sales, but very sparse. Like when you
Yeah,
go all day Saturday was zero. There just was nobody there.
yeah, that's
But what I didn't complain, but what was so funny, I was getting time to have slightly longer conversations with the people that came in and are interested in your work. And at the end of one of those longer conversations, they're like, you know what's a shame is that we never even knew you were here. We were just out going for a walk in the Arboretum, and that's how we figured out you guys were here. And after that first conversation, I still stayed upbeat, but two more people come in. And then a volunteer came in asking, did we need anything? And I was like, what we needed was 3 weeks ago, we needed you to start emailing your patrons. And that's when she told me about this new volunteer that was supposed to be running the show. And they really, I feel like there's three main things that we require for our money is that one, they advertise to the best group of people that has been responsive in the past. And after 20 some years doing this, they should know that. At least the people that bought tickets, because you have to buy the tickets online. So they've got their emails, right? Secondly, I feel like they need to support the artists loading in and loading out. And when they loaded out, they had so much wedding traffic that they said, okay, don't even move your vans from the way back of the property. We're going to take these mules and drive you out there no matter how many trips it takes. And they had a separate staging area. And I pulled my van up. Nobody was parked there. And it was for like deliveries. I pulled my van up and told the mule to take me over there, which shortened the time considerably that I used the mule. And they didn't even think of that. And there was 15 parking spaces there, and they only had like 8 mules. So I said they could have told artists, okay, your turn's coming up. So move your vehicle to that staging area. And we could have cut the time in half that it took to mule our stuff in and out because they wouldn't allow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's so many things that like
Yeah.
they didn't do. So when you say don't complain, do you
Well-
mean like in the show itself or do you mean after?
I mean,
Howard,
no, hold on. I mean, in the show itself. So what this sheet of paper says, never complain at the show itself. But if you have feedback that you want to give, negative or positive, give it to the appropriate audience. So I would say just like uh this guy Gary, Larry, you said he wrote a letter and they pinned it up on the wall, whatever. Give them the feedback. Let whatever you, everything that you just said right now, they should know. They should know that. I think they should know that. They should know that they failed in these ways.
And you
that,
know, one other thing that was interesting is I always fill out a survey if I really feel deeply about something. They sent us a survey, and you know what it was? It was the general arboretum survey for every guest. Like, did you eat at the restaurant? Which flowers did you enjoy? All this. It had nothing to do with the art show. And that was like a slap in the face. Like, they didn't even have a survey that to the artists. And they have our, I don't know.
Howard Allen once told me something. Never tell a show director you're having a bad show.
Mm-hmm. Because you might get juried out the next time, I suppose.
Correct.
Well,
Correct.
Don't be afraid and censor yourself.
but
This
give
is the
it to
thing.
the right audience. Give it
This
to the
isn't
right
Russia.
audience.
This isn't
That's
Nazi
good advice,
Germany.
Janine. Mm-hmm.
But
That's the problem.
I've done that show before, and what you're saying is the same thing that happened 2 years ago. So the only difference is that the only thing the final thing for loadout, there was a park in that area that you're saying because it makes the distance shorter to break out. But the show is really poor attendance. Most of the artists that live in the Dallas area don't do that show because it's really poorly attended. It's a biggest waste of time to do. You better off be staying at home. But I got chewed out by other people, and I cannot write out reviews anymore in any of the groups because then I get blacklisted from those shows that I want to do.
That's good advice. That's why I was worried about posting that because I was upset, but I was like, maybe I shouldn't have posted it. I can still pull
You
it
really
down.
posted, nothing you can do about it. Just let it be. But my strong suggestion, if you're going to make a pick and choose with reviews, you're going to, if it's a bad review, let it sit for a week, and if you still bugs you about it, then write it. If it's not, don't write it. because most of the time it does more harm to you than anything else. And like it or not, uh, you take in the spot somebody else that will be happy to do the show.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So it's really and I sit down to look at the people that got accepted to some shows, and I'm looking the type. The first thing you go in your mind is these people are getting to these shows all the time, and you're thinking that your work is good enough to get into that show, but then you need to stop and look also what type of artworks are getting accepted to the show. If your work doesn't fit the line, chances are you're not going to get in. So you need to start looking for other shows that fit more your style and what you need. And sadly, most of the so-called A shows have this kind of look, same artist style all the time. That if you, for me, it's really hard to get in. So I tend to get to more B shows, but I need to pay attention to. I need to put up with more crap than what I should. But it's because when you go to a show, then it's an A, B, C level, and A is the national shows, the top shows. B are the regional shows, and then the C shows is the local shows that only the local people really know about it. The local shows, like the one that you just did, uh, most of the time they are run really, really poorly. So you have to go with that in mind when you do the show. And if you got with that in mind, you will be fine. But that show is always the attendance to that show. I think that if you get $3,000, 3,000 people in a year, they're doing really good. It's
Okay.
that bad attendance. It's not a show that I would. Last time I did it was raining all weekend long. I still have pictures of that. Last time I did it, they forgot. Let me just put it to you. Last time I did it, they forgot to turn on the sprinklers, and
Oh
my
no.
my
Yeah.
entire booth got wet inside my booth.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I
That
didn't have
happens.
damage is because I got metal prints.
Yeah.
But those 27-gallon tops containers? I had 3 inches of water inside of one of those.
Oh wow.
So just
Yeah,
to
they
give you an
forgot to
example.
turn the water off. I've been around. I've never gotten soaked, but I've I've been in shows where other people got hit by the sprinklers because it's on a timer. Not a
Yeah.
lot, but it happens once in a while.
And the sprinkles in that botanical garden, they are literally almost 6 inches on the ground, so you kind of see them from the top.
Right. I wondered why the grass was so thick.
No, that park is one of the top 10 in the nation.
So, and do you think it has a lot to do with Cottonwood being like the next week? So anybody who
No,
wants to do
it's just
Dallas,
it's that area. Quite honest with you, that's a destination show. That's you going there for the garden. If
right?
you it's not it's you don't get like Cottonwood, for example, even if they're not advertising 100%, you have the school right there on Friday night. You got the supermarket, you got the mall next to it, you have traffic around there all the time. So people see it all the time. Uh,
Okay.
and quite honest with you, the person that took over, I forgot her name, she was under her for maybe 5 years. So they don't change anything. It's a really well-run machine.
Okay.
But Cottonwood to me is a show that has a lot of potential,
Mm-hmm.
but it never panned out for me.
Gotcha.
Like I never lost money, but I never make enough money to justify the trip just for one. Because to do Cottonwood, you have to do make it worth it, you have to do with South Lake, and I can rarely get into South Lake because the person that runs South Lake is basically she's the juror for the show, regardless what they say. And then and then in the fall version of Cottonwood, you're dealing with football, and you know how Texas is about football.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to pair with Bayou City, which I don't think that's a good idea.
So you're talking Cottonwood Fall, not Cottonwood Spring. You're talking
both,
Cottonwood Fall.
both,
Okay.
both.
Well, I thought with football, I don't know if they do it in the spring, but yeah.
The fall is really, if you're going to do one of the two, the spring is the one to do.
That's what I heard from a couple people. So that's a good, yeah, I won't apply for the fall one then.
Okay. Now, if you want to make a little bit of money, it might be worth it doing the it's not going to be the same amount of money. So then in the spring you make $10,000, in the fall you make $5,000.
Okay.
That's how
I'll
much
take 5,000.
No, I just throwing a number ahead, so it's an easy math.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess I was consoled that in the end I did break even, and that was mainly because I had a friend that let me stay at her place the last 2 nights, because it was a hard show because they wanted to let the patrons come at 7 a.m. on Saturday. If they were working a shift, the patrons got to come in early. And so I made the mistake of going at 7 a.m. on Saturday. And the only person who was there was a couple of ducks, coming out of the lake. So there was no patrons there. And I mean, the way they wrote the show up, both in Zapplication and the correspondence they sent you, it looked like it was supposed to be much more of a show, and it just wasn't. And I think that's what burned me, because I felt like, you're going to advertise it like it's this great art show, then you need to come up with some people. And evidently they put on more advertising when it's a bad show, because they want to get people there. You know what I mean? They push it, they make it look like it's a big deal, but it's false advertising.
And most of, sometimes I read shows, like I read the show in SAP, I look the application up and down, and you don't see anywhere what kind of attendance they have, right? Then you go to the website of the show, and they say they advertise to 80,000 people in the neighborhood. And you go like I never see even 5,000 people walking the show any given year and done the show.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I will tell you, if you want to know, ask me or Barry, and I will tell you if the show is worth doing or not. To be honest with you, it's no guarantee, but I will tell you it might be. I will tell you, yes, give it a try. But if it's a really bad show, I will tell you, do not touch that show.
Good. Don't ask me anything. I don't know anything.
Have any of you done that new Crystal Bridges show in first week of October in Bentonville, Arkansas? Crystal Bridges?
No, I don't. I'm going to tell you my personal opinion. I don't put a foot in Alabama, Louisiana, and Arizona if I don't have to. Texas hit that list this year. If I go by making money, other than New Orleans and the 4 big cities in Texas, I will not touch anything outside of those shows. Everything else past that is too far west for me. Arkansas, I would never do a show in there. There's no money in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, because it's a place where if everything you have is under $100, you're probably going to do great. But if everything I have is over $100, I don't think it'll wash. You know what I'm saying?
and
And
you have
it's
to just think
nothing
about
against the people. It's nothing against the people. I mean,
it. In some areas, you have to just go by, like it or not. If so many people are practical,
right,
and you have to go think about it that way when you do the show.
right,
You
Deb,
know, they can have all the money in the world, but if they don't see a function for that or the value in that,
right.
then
They're not a strong art supporter, right?
yeah.
Deb, is that one of your pieces on the wall behind you, the blue?
That's an old piece. Yeah, this is. I'm at my
Oh,
mom's
oh,
assisted living right now.
oh, okay. But it's
We
yours.
just, yeah, it's mine. Yeah,
And
but
is that the one that has the ceramic in it?
this one has mirrors. This
Oh,
one has
wow.
crushed glass is that line between the sand and what looks like water.
Oh my
Um,
God.
but I did what I do now is more, that's why it says MLA, it's Modern Living Art, modernliving.art. And I do ceramics in vessel form, all decorative. And then I crush some of it and do the paintings with the crushed ceramics on them. And it also makes it hard for me because I have to apply in two categories of mixed media and ceramics. So I'm waiting to hear. I should be finding out pretty quickly about a couple different shows I applied. And, when you talk about A, B, and C shows, I feel like on the B and C shows, I can apply in ceramics and have those ceramic wall art in addition to the vases, vessels, and they don't care. But if you're looking at a national show, they want you to apply both categories and have a separate booth shot for each category. So I think there's a lot of things I'm learning about the A, B, and C shows, and a lot of it's coming from this group, but also just from, asking the organizers, what do they prefer? So, and we're getting ready. My husband's getting ready to retire. We're kind of in the middle of a messy lawsuit right now. And once that gets over, then he can retire. It's not something we did, it's something the neighbor thinks we did. Um, and as soon as we get through all that, then we're going to try to figure out where we want to live. So I really want to nail it down. Where's the best parts of the country for art sales if you want to just do stuff somewhat regionally, but still have a art appreciative crowd. So it's hard
When does your
because
husband? I was going to say,
when
when
does
does he
he
retire?
he could retire next week if we could get this case settled, but we can't sell our house till the case is settled. So
Yeah.
we're sort of over a barrel. And our lawyer's saying we should get all our legal fees back because we had a neighbor sue us that on a fabrication, and we did everything due diligence. We put in a sewer line along the edge of his lot, but it's in a condominium regime, and the HOA approved it. But when he decided he didn't want it there when he built, the HOA didn't back us. And so our lawyer's going after the HOA and him and saying, and we have all the documentation of what we did, all the emails, all the same people approving it 2 years ago. And they come back, actually 3 years ago, and they come back to us 3 years later and say that never happened just because they became buddies. And now the HOA is flipping on us. It's only 10 people in this HOA. It's messy. So we're trying to stick it out. And, it's very expensive. I call my art shows, this is the legal fund tour, trying to drum up extra money that's not usually in the coffers. So,
Yeah.
but to Oscar's point, you have to desensitize yourself because you can't come off as negative to organizers and, fellow people, because then you're not going to get in anywhere. So I just have to buck it up and wait and see what happens. So I'm trying to show, I'm not limiting myself. I'm trying to show where I feel like I might do well just to get some more shows under my belt. I will say going out, even if it's a show that's not as well attended, I got my POS set up better. I got my display set up better. I'm bringing the right tools. I'm able to get things done quicker. You know how it is when you haven't showed for a while. You feel like a little bit of a discombobulated person. And so that's why I want to keep showing, even if it's not a super year. I realize I just want to at least break even or make a little bit of money so that I get my ducks in a row.
But I'm going to tell you that, quite honestly, you even when you prepare, the only thing you can do really is put your best presentation to the show, come best prepared you have. Everything else, because I got into argument with the guild about this, and they got a little bit upset with me, and I told them I can do everything right. You can do everything right. Do all the advertising in the world. I can do all advertising that I can, do the best job, and still there's one little factor. People need to come, and you cannot force people to come to the show.
Right.
So, and that's when I keep saying to people, if the community is not supporting the show, at some point we start looking at it's just a money grab for the art show, because it's not doing anything for us. And you have to make a business decision on not doing the show, because you're going to end losing money sooner or later. And sometimes, even if you make a lot of money in a show, but you have a lot of things that are bugging you about the show, you know that sooner or later they're going to put the rock under your feet. So you might, if it's bugging you, the things are doing so bad, like just stop doing the show, regardless of the money. And
Yeah.
and you have to do that, like it or not. Because at the end of the day, you go and do the show, takes the same amount of effort to put the tent and take it down, same time energy, if you make $0 or you make $100,000.
Right.
You know.
I know you've done a lot of shows, Oscar. Do you feel like there's times where you do the same show like 2 or 3 years in a row and you've always done well and then you do poorly? Or do you feel like it sort of increases incrementally because you have your own mailing list to send out in the area?
Every year, there's some shows that every year it gets better and better and better. And then you have a drop, and then you have to start working back your way ahead, up again. But there's other shows that you start really high, and the only thing that goes downhill from there. And you have to, there's no. You always have to look at what's going on, what you're doing, but always start with yourself, what you're doing, and then, if you think that you do everything, then you start looking to see what the promoter did, right or wrong, and see if it fits with what you want to keep doing. If you know that, let's throw Camille under the bus. If you see, if Camille is not, because they have to charge X amount of money in the gate fee, then the certain people are not going to come in, and that certain amount of people is your customer base, then the show is not going to work for you. It's nothing to do with how well they run the show. It comes down to, you eliminate my base of customer. What is the point of me doing the show?
Yeah, and it's kind of weird because at this show, even though we had so few people, right across the aisle from me, and the aisles were really wide and grassy, but right across from me was Potter, who mainly sells wholesale, and he sells functional dinnerware and functional items. And it was funny because everything in his whole booth was under $50. I kid you not, his whole booth. And I said, your prices are so cheap. How do you do wholesale? And he goes, no, this is the wholesale price. They pay me the same whether I sell it at an art show or whether I sell it wholesale. And I thought that kind of was, if I hadn't been straight across from him, I would have been upset. But by the end of the show, he didn't sell as much as I did. So I was like, obviously it wasn't his crowd either. And he said he had done that show before and done really well. And he didn't do anything. So, and it's hard if you have under $50 price points, you really need the crowd because you can't
Yeah.
rely on just popping a few nice sales because you had long conversations. So I feel like that's what I'm trying to figure out this year is where can you get a sort of a
And
solid
quite
price
honestly,
point.
the I, I think we're in the recession.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know whatever happened this year and next year. I don't know how it's good. I just right now I'm just trying to survive the next 3 years. That's what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah.
Today, for example, uh, the the gas in Chicago it's average $5 a gallon, but in some part of the neighborhood it's as high as $6 a gallon, and that's for the cheap gas.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
and that's and that means in my head that means that you're a person that depends on volume. The people that buy volume are the people that get affected the most. So that market
Right.
is whatever
Right.
was
So
left is
so the
gone.
higher ticket items might do better during the
Yeah,
recessions because those
yeah.
people aren't affected as much. Yeah.
The only problem is that you do a show with 200 artists. Guess what? Everybody's trying to do
Right. Same thing. Well,
same
my
thing.
next one is in Denver at Peace Park, and then I've got into the Albuquerque show
Hey,
during the balloon
Crystal.
week.
Sorry, I'm not going to see your beautiful face all year long.
Yeah, you won't be seeing me at any of the guild shows too, because I'm not doing any of them this year.
I noticed.
Well, you know what? It's entirely my fault. I have a really shitty booth shot right now, and so I did not get into a lot of shows, including the guilds.
Oh, come on.
No, really, it's at the time when I had to start doing applications, all I had were very, very small paintings, and it makes my booth look terrible.
So
Um,
you still from the one from last year?
the art is too different looking.
So,
I know.
So.
It's all right. I started off my applications this year with the old booth shot. And then I was like, oh, I've got enough new paintings. And I did the new booth shot. I'm like, these paintings might be too small, but I'll apply and see how it goes. And they were too small. Um, Fortunately, I got like some feedback from a couple directors. They were too small. So then I quickly made some big paintings. And now for like later in the year, I'm getting into those shows. So I think it's all good now.
Okay. Oh God, I
hey,
just
I can
feel
tell you something. I I had, all the work I have is totally different than what did in my booth
No.
shows. Uh, Not only did nobody notice it at any shows, but at a certain show, which I of course will be nameless because I get into enough trouble by speaking my mind. Um, the director came by and said, "Oh, you got some new work with color. That's really nice." That's as close as I got. So there's no connect. In fact, there was a time when I thought I'm gonna take photos of Picasso's work. In fact, I'm gonna take the Picasso pottery from books, and then I'm gonna make images, and I'm gonna send that in as my work and see if anybody notices.
Yeah,
I didn't do that because, some people wouldn't.
that's been done before.
Well,
Yeah, yeah, it
Well,
was.
not with Picasso, but
no,
yes,
so,
they noticed it.
somebody took one of Jerzy Kosinski's books and submitted it to a ton of publishing companies, and it got rejected.
Of course.
Yeah, I totally got dinged for being too honest, but I've learned my lesson and oh well. Now I know. I'm not going to be so worried about it next year.
You decided that screw them and you're just going to keep being honest?
No, I mean like I
Or
did
you're
not
going to
need to be
chick it
so
out and suck? You're
I didn't
chickening
need to
out. I
be
don't want
so
to hear this.
worried.
I don't want to
Thank
hear
you.
this.
Yeah. So,
Hey,
oh
hey,
well.
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something about complaining. Everybody complains to me, and I'm the one that tells the director. So I'm the blue meanie. And the thing is, I'm not complaining for myself necessarily. It's a consensus, and they're all chicken. They're all afraid to go, do what they should be doing to make things better. Now they just tell me because they know I'll say something. 'Cause, I don't care. You know, excuse me. In fact, one show, um, they made all these comments, and they got a frog in my throat. Anyway, I made all these comments, or they made all these comments to me, and I made all these comments to the show, and they're making faces, and they gave me a hard time. And they didn't like what I was doing. But the next year, they did all the things that I complained about. They fixed them. So they didn't want to give me any credit, but they actually did what I told them they should do. So, you know, and there was a show that I actually got called up that I got rejected from, that the director called me and said, "We want you to do our show because we want you to critique it and we want you to tell us what's good or what's bad." So I
There you
actually
go.
got into a show that I had complained about a lot of things, and they took my, they actually, I got rejected. They actually invited me to do the show. So it doesn't really matter necessarily. I think it's important. I went to college during the time when you spoke up and said something. It's left a lasting impression on me, and I do it. And I heard a quote. Uh, Actually, it was on Bill Maher, who has turned out to be this great. He's really great now. And he said, "If you're not angry, you're not thinking." If you're not getting angry or upset, if you're not upsetting people, you're not thinking. And boy, that's just the way it is. You got to continually do this because who else is going to look out for you? Nobody. The show director? No, they're going to make it as easy as possible for them. It's our duty to say things, to say it because nothing's going to get fixed unless it's done. It
Okay.
only gets worse.
On that point, Larry, I have to go like very soon. Larry, at this point, can we show our albums? Like you said last week, we're supposed to bring an album.
Oh, I
Mine
was
is
just kidding when I said,
what? What? I took it totally seriously. And mine is
Show with your album. The hell with it.
show
Show it.
it,
it's for there's two in there for you, Barry.
hold
Just
it up.
show it.
Marvin
I
Gaye.
have it. It's great. One of the
What's
best ever.
okay? That speaks to anger. Okay, what's going on? Okay.
It's a political statement. One of the first
Yeah.
first black protest albums.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Motown didn't want to put that out, but they made them, and it turned out to be one of the best ones they ever did.
Great. Okay, the second one, Sly and the Family Stone, Greatest Hits. Motown,
Well,
Detroit.
well, Sly's not from Detroit. When I
Well,
saw Sly and the Family Stone, we had to wait an hour for them to come on stage because they were doing coke in the hotel room.
Um, when I photographed him at Nassau Coliseum, he went on 45 minutes late because he was passed out.
Yeah, that's right. Passed out or doing coke or doing something.
Right.
I
Totally
just remember,
acceptable in the 1980s.
I don't have any of them now, Janine, but I grew up in Detroit in the 60s and Motown was really kind of at a high. And
yeah.
so we'd go to these little area parades where, they would just say, bring your kids, come to this park, there's going to be a parade. And instead of candy, they would throw out 45s in these little single
Oh,
paper wrappers.
yeah.
I wish I would have saved those because we had a tiny little cheap, record player in our bedroom. And so we'd take these new Motown records and we'd put them on, and it was just hilarious. My sister and I would just go crazy. and I just loved it.
Here,
What's this
No.
one?
this is a little one. This I got in France. It's an early Beatles,
Oh yeah.
45.
Mhm.
I don't know if you can see it really.
When I
Hold it
say
back where you're,
45s, my kids don't
hold
even
it
know
in
what I'm
line
talking
with your
about.
face.
Hold it in line with my face. All right.
Yeah, I had to explain a 45 to somebody.
All right,
Yeah.
so that's really early Beatles, and it's
Mhm.
a French version.
There's
There's
5 of
four,
them there.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's from, early 60s or
Peter
whenever they got
Best.
started. And then the
Mhm.
last one is another Detroit thing, MC5.
Oh, cool.
You
Yeah.
got the jams, motherfuckers. That
Exactly.
was a big deal.
Exactly.
Hey, okay, here's my MC5 story. I'm convinced that I have some hearing loss because I went to an MC5 concert at the State Fairgrounds in Detroit, and I'll tell you, it was the loudest. It was the loudest. You felt the music. I grew up about 8 or 10 miles from that show, and I'll bet you if I was at home, I could have heard them.
All
Well,
right, listen.
my husband and I are going to try to work up the song. He taught himself how to play the guitar, and I got a bass, and I got to teach myself how to play the bass guitar. Just so our first song is going to be MC5. So
Mhm.
anyway. Well, it's nice to
Okay.
see you guys, and looking forward to seeing you next week. So take care.
Be good.
All right,
Yeah,
thanks a
and
lot.
we're
You
gonna
too.
we're gonna end the meeting because I have to leave.
Okay, bye, Larry.
Okie doke.
So it's 5 o'clock.
Mm.
Okay,
Take
bye.
care.
Bye.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.